Welcome to the new chapter, Atomic Structure. This is lesson 1. In this lesson, we are going to look at SLOs 2.1.1 and 2.1.3. Let's look at what is atom. We know that atom is the smallest particle that makes up an element and it takes part in a chemical reaction. We know that the atom is made up of electrons, protons and neutrons. When we look at the structure of atom, we have these imaginary pathways or imaginary paths in which are called the shells. In these shells we have the electrons which are revolving around the nucleus. The central part or the central region of any atom is called the nucleus, which is positively charged, and we have two types of subatomic particles in that region, the protons and the neutrons. The protons have positive charge and the neutrons are neutral. For finding out the number of electrons in the shells, we have a simple formula, 2n square. The first shell is called K shell and the number of that shell is 1. So if we use this formula for finding out the number of electrons, we put the value 1 over here, and in that case we are going to get 2 electrons in the K shell. The next shell is L shell and N shell is the second shell. So number is 2. If we put this n over here in this formula, we get 8 electrons in the L shell. The third shell is called M shell, and the third shell is the number of that shell is 3. So if we put the number 3 over here in this formula, we will get 18 electrons. The fourth shell is called N shell. The number of that shell is 4, and number of electrons in that shell calculated by using this formula will be 32. So in all, we have the K shell, L shell, M shell and N shell, and we have maximum of 2 electrons in K shell, we have maximum of 8 electrons in L shell, we have maximum of 18 electrons in M shell, and we have maximum of 32 electrons in N shell. Let's see how we calculate the number of subatomic particles. For a neutral atom, we know that the electrons and protons are equal. For a positively charged atom, whenever an atom gains a positive charge, we have more protons in that case than the electrons, because an atom gains a positive charge once it loses the electrons. So electrons become less and protons are more. For a negatively charged atom, the electrons are more and protons are less, because negatively charged atom is formed when we have gaining of electron. So when the atom gains an electrons, when an atom gains electrons, it has more electrons and less number of electrons and less number of protons. And for finding out the number of neutrons, we are simply going to use the mass number, atomic number. Take your mass number and subtract atomic number from it. You are going to get a neutron number. Let's complete the table. I have already provided you first example, which is Mg2+. The charge on Mg2+ is, as you know, 2+. The atomic number is 12 because Mg is the 12th element of the periodic table. So the atomic number is 12, the mass number is 24. You should know atomic number and mass number by yourself. For finding out the electrons, we take 12, which is the atomic number, and whatever we have the charge, we have 2 plus charge. That means we have to subtract 2 electrons, because an atom gains a positive charge once it loses electrons. So we are going to subtract 2 from 12. We are going to have 10 electrons in Mg2+. The proton is the same as atomic number, so 12 is the atomic number and same is the proton number. For neutrons, we are going to get this. We are going to have this 24 and subtract 12 from it. We have 12 neutrons in Mg. So this is how we have to solve this whole table. You have to do this in your exercise books and complete it. Let's see how we draw an atom. We have an example of chlorine atom over here. We should know atomic number, mass number, electrons, protons and neutrons before drawing the atom. So we have atomic number for chlorine 17. We have the mass number of chlorine, which is 37. The number of electrons are 17, protons are 17 and the neutrons are 20. What are we going to do first? We are going to draw the central part, which is the nucleus. We are going to have the symbol Cl, and we are going to put protons, which are 17 and neutrons 20 inside the nucleus. We are going to then draw the first shell, which is the K shell, and we know that K shell has maximum of 2 electrons. So we are going to put 2 electrons in this order. We are going to follow the order up, down, left and right. So we have maximum of 2 electrons in the K shell. In the next shell, L shell, we have maximum of 8 electrons. So what is the way of putting those 8 electrons? Up, down, left, right, and then again we are going to pair them up in the same manner, up, down, left and then right. Okay, so we have to pair them, and in that manner we are going to put the electrons. Now 10 electrons are gone out of 17 and we are left with 7 more electrons. So in the last shell we are going to have 7 electrons in the same manner, up, down, right and then left, and then we are going to pair them up. We are left with 3 electrons, so 3 will be in pairs and 1 will be unpaired in this case. So putting the electrons in this manner is very important, because this is going to tell you which electrons are paired and which are not paired. This is going to help you in the next chapter. We are going to learn, which is atomic bonding and structure of molecules. So what is your task? Your task is to draw the atomic structures of the first 20 elements from hydrogen to calcium. The atomic number of hydrogen is 1 and the atomic number of calcium is 20. And that manner you are going to put your you have to draw these 20 elements in your copies. Okay, so meet you in the next lesson. Till then, Allah Hafiz everyone.